just one barrel. Oh.
The Orion-class ships were designed in response to the beginnings of the ongoing German naval arms race, and were much larger than the predecessors to the Clausius-class battleships to accommodate larger, more powerful guns and heavier armor. In recognition of these powerful improvements, the class were sometimes called super dreadnoughts. The ships had an overall length of 581 feet, a beam of 88 feet 6 inches, and a deep draught of 31 feet 3 inches. They displaced 21,922 long tons at normal load and 25,596 long tons at deep load, as built. By 1918, Orion's deep displacement had increased to 28,108 long tons. Her crew numbered 751 officers and rating as of 1914. The Orion class was powered by two sets of Pearson direct drive steam turbines, each driving two shafts, using steam powered by 18 Babcocks and Wilcox boilers. The turbines were rated at 27,000 horsepower and were intended to give the battleships a speed of 21 knots. During her sea trials in September of 1911, Orion reached a maximum speed of 21.3 knots from 3,551 ship horsepower. The ships carried enough coal and fuel oil to give them a range of 6,730 nautical miles at a cruising speed of 10 knots. The Orion class was equipped with 10 breech loading 13.5-inch Mark IV guns and 5 hydraulically powered twin gun turrets, all at the center line. The turrets were designated A, B, Q, and X, and Y from front to rear. Their secondary armament consisted of 16 B&L 4-inch 102mm Mark 7 guns. These guns were split evenly between the forward and aft superstructure, all in single mounts. 4 47mm 1.9-inch saluting guns were also carried. The ships were equipped with 3 21-inch submerged torpedo tubes, one on each broadside and another on the stern, for which 20 torpedoes were provided. The Orions were protected by a waterline 21-inch 305mm armor belt that extended between the end barbettes. Their decks ranged in thickness between 1 inch 25 millimeters and 4 inches, with the thickest proportions protecting the steering gear in the stern. The main battery turret faces were 11 inches 273 millimeters thick, or 279 millimeters thick, and the turrets were supported by 10-inch thick 254 millimeter barbettes. In 1914, the shelter deck guns were enclosed in casemates. By October of 1914, a pair of 3-inch 76mm anti-aircraft guns had been added. A fire control director was installed on a platform below the spawning top in April, from April to May 1915. Additional deck armor was added after the Battle of Jutland in May of 1916. Around the same time, 3 4-inch guns were removed from the aft superstructure, and the ship was modified to operate kite balloons. In mid to late 1917, Orion was the only battleship in the Royal Navy to receive a director for her secondary armament. 2 flying off platforms were fitted aboard the ship during 1917 to 1918. These were mounted on B and Q turret roofs and extended onto the gun barrels. A high-angle rangefinder was fitted in the forward superstructure by 1921. Orion, named after the mythological hunter Orion, was the fourth ship of her name to serve in the Royal Navy, or RN. The ship was laid down at H.M. Dry Dock, Portsmouth, and on the 29th of November, 1909. She was launched on the 20th of August, 1910, and was commissioned on the 2nd of January, 1912. Including her armament, her cost is various quota or quote at 1,855,917 Q, or 1,918,773 Q. Orion was assigned to the 2nd Division of the Home Fleet as the flagship of Rear Admiral Sir Herbert King Hale, the division's second in command. The ship was slightly damaged on the 7th of January when the pre-dreadnought battleship Revenge broke loose from moorings and collided with the Orion's bow. The division was redesignated as the 2nd Battle Squadron, or BS, on the 1st of May. The ship, together with her sister ships Thunder and Monarch, participated in the Parliamentary Naval Review on the 9th of July at Spithead. They then participated in training maneuvers. King Hall was relieved by Rear Admiral Rosalind Wemyss on the 29th of October. On the 13th of November, the ship participated in contemporary gunnery trials with Thunder to elevate the effectiveness of the latter's gunner director. Thunder decisively outshot Orion, although some of her success was because her director was above the smoke that obscured the target from Orion's guns. The test was repeated in better conditions on the 4th of December, and Orion performed better, apparently beating Thunder. The three sisters were present with the 2nd Battle Squadron to receive the President of France, Raymond Poincaré, at Spithead on the 24th of June, 1913, and then participated in the annual fleet maneuvers in August. Wemyss was relieved in his turn by Rear Admiral Sir Robert Arthurnot, 4th Barnet, on the 28th of October. Captain Frederick Dyer assumed command of Orion the same day. On the 4th of November, Orion, Thunder, and the dreadnought King George V, and the pre-dreadnought King Edward VII, fired at and sank the target ship Empress of India to give her crews experience in firing live ammunition against a real ship. Between the 17th and the 20th of July, 1914, Orion took part in a test mobilization and fleet review as part of the British response to the July crisis. Arriving in Portland on the 25th of July, she was ordered to proceed with the rest of the home fleet to Scarborough Flow. 4 days later, to safeguard the fleet from a possible surprise attack by the Imperial German Navy. In August of 1914, following the outbreak of World War I, the Home Fleet was reorganized as the Grand Fleet and placed under the command of Admiral Sir John Jellicoe. On the 8th of August, Orion was towing a target for the dreadnought to Ajax and Monarch when the latter reported that she had been unsuccessfully attacked by a torpedo and the gunnery exercise was terminated. Almost 2 weeks later, the ship began having serious problems with her consenders, and Jellicoe ordered that they be retooted while she was deactivated to the coaling base at Loch Ewa. On the northwest coast of Scotland, Orion rejoined the Grand Fleet on the 9th of September. Repeated reports of submarines at Scapa Flow led Jellicoe to conclude that the defense there were inadequate, and he ordered that the Grand Fleet be dispersed to other bases until the defenses be reinforced. On the 16th of October, the 2nd Battle Squadron was led to Loch and Kiel on the western coast of Scotland. The squadron departed for gunnery practice off the northern coast of Ireland on the morning of the 27th of October, and the dreadnought Audiax struck a mine laid a few days earlier by the German armed merchant cruiser SS Berlin. Thinking that the ship had been torpedoed by a submarine, the other dreadnoughts were ordered away from the area, while smaller ships rendered assistance. Shortly afterward, Orion had been sent to Greenock for repairs to her turbine mounts. The Royal Navy's Room 40 had intercepted and decrypted German radio traffic containing plans for a German attack on Scarborough, Hartlepool, and Whitby in mid-December using the 4 battlecruisers of Cantonment Admiral, or Rear Admiral, Franz von Hipper's first scouting group. The radio messages did not mention that the High Seas Fleet, with 14 dreadnoughts and 8 pre-dreadnoughts, would reinforce Hipper. The ships of both sides departed their bases on the 15th of December, with the British intending to ambush the German ships on their return voyage. They mustered the 6 dreadnoughts of Vice Admiral Sir George Wedern's 2nd Battle Squadron, including Orion and her sisters, Monarch and Conqueror, and the 4 battlecruisers of Vice Admiral Sir David Beatty. The screening forces of each side blundered into each other during the early morning darkness and heavy weather of the 16th of December. The Germans got the better of the initial exchange of fire, severely damaging several British destroyers, and Admiral Frederick von Instritz, commander of the High Seas Fleet, ordered his ships to turn away. Concerned about the possibility of a mass attack by British destroyers in the dawn's light. A series of miscalculations and mistakes by the British allowed Hipper's ships to avoid an engagement with Beatty's forces. One of these occurred when Orion's lookout spotted the light cruiser HMS Lund and failed to engage because Arthurnaut refused to allow the ship to open fire without a command from Warner. Jellicoe's ships, including Orion, conducted gunnery drills on the 10th and 13th of January 1915, west of the Orkneys and the Shetland Islands. Rear Admiral Arthur Levinson relieved Arthurnaut on the 15th of January. On the evening of the 23rd of January, the bulk of the Grand Fleet sailed in support of Beatty's battlecruisers, but Orion and the rest of the fleet did not participate in the ensuing Battle of Dogger Bank the following day. On the 7th and 10th of March, the Grand Fleet concluded a sweep in the northern North Sea, during which it conducted training maneuvers. Another such cruise took place on the 16th and 19th of March. On the 11th of April, the Grand Fleet conducted a patrol in the central North Sea and returned to port on the 14th of April. Another patrol in the area took place on the 17th and 19th of April, allowed by gunnery drills off Jutland on the 20th and 21st of April. Orion was given a brief refit in late April in Devonport. The Grand Fleet conducted sweeps into the central North Sea on the 17th and 19th of May, and the 29th and 31st of May without encountering any German vessels. During the 11th and 14th of June, the fleet conducted gunnery practice and battle exercises west of Jutland, and more training off Jutland beginning on the 11th of July. The 2nd Battle Squadron conducted gunnery practice in the Moray Firth on the 2nd of August, and then returned to Scapa Flow. On the 2nd and 5th of September, the fleet went on another cruise to the northern end of the North Sea and conducted gunnery drills. Throughout the rest of the month, the Grand Fleet conducted numerous training exercises. The ship, together with the majority of the Grand Fleet, conducted another sweep into the North Sea from the 13th to the 15th of October. Almost 3 weeks later, Orion participated in another fleet training operation west of Orkney during the 2nd and 5th of November, and repeated the exercises at the beginning of December. The Grand Fleet sortied in response to an attack by German ships on British light forces near Dodger Bank on the 11th of February 1916, but it was recalled 2 days later when it became clear that no German ships larger than a destroyer were involved. The fleet departed for a cruise in the North Sea on the 22nd of February. Jellicoe had intended to use the Harwich force to sweep the Holgund Bright, but bad weather prevented operations in the southern North Sea. As a result, the operation was confined to the northern end of the sea. Another sweep began on the 6th of March, but it had to be abandoned the following day as weather grew too severe for the escorting destroyers. On the night of the 25th of March, Orion and the rest of the fleet sailed from Scapa Flow to support Beatty's battlecruisers and other light forces raiding the German Zeppelin base at Tondern. By the time the Grand Fleet approached the area on the 26th of March, the British and German forces had already disengaged, and a strong gale threatened the light craft, so the fleet was ordered to return to base. On the 21st of April, the Grand Fleet conducted a demonstration off Horn's Reef to distract the Germans while the Imperial Russian Navy relayed its defensive minefields in the Baltic Sea. The fleet order returned to Scapa Flow on the 25th of April and influenced reports that the Germans were to launch a raid on Lowestoft, but only arrived in the area after the Germans had withdrawn. On the 2nd and 4th of May, the fleet conducted another demonstration off Horn's Reef to keep the German attention focused on the North Sea. In an attempt to lure out and destroy a portion of the Grand Fleet, the High Seas Fleet, composed of 16 dreadnoughts, 6 pre-dreadnoughts, and supporting ships, departed the Jade Bight early on the morning of the 31st of May. The fleet sailed on in concern with Hipper's 5 battlecruisers. Room 40 had intercepted and decrypted German radio traffic containing plans of the operation in response to the Admiralty In response, the Admiralty ordered the Grand Fleet, totaling some 28 dreadnoughts and 9 battlecruisers, to sortie the night before, to cut off and destroy the High Seas Fleet. On the 31st of May, Orion, under the command of Captain Oliver Backhouse, was the lead ship of the 2nd Division of the 2nd Battle Crew of the Battle Squadron, and was the 5th ship from the head of the battle line after deployment. During the first stages of the general engagement, the ship fired 4 salvos of armor-piercing capped APS shells from her main guns at the battleship HMS Markgraf at 1832, scoring 1 hit that knocked out a 15 centimeter 5.1 inch gun and killed or disabled its crew. About 1915, she engaged the battlecruiser HMS Lizzo at a range of 18,700 or 19,800 yards, with 6 salvos of APS shells, and claimed to straddle her with the last 2 salvos. These last salvos were actually fired at the destroyer HMS G-38, which was screening the battlecruiser and laying a smokescreen. Lizzo was also fired at by Monarch during this time, and was hit 5 times between the sisters. They knocked out 2 of her main guns, temporarily knocked out the power to the sternmost turret, as well as causing a flare amount of flooding. This was the last time that Orion fired her guns during the battle, having expended a total of 51 13.5-inch APS shells. The Grand Fleet sortied on the 18th of August to ambush the High Seas Fleet while it advanced into the southernmost North Sea, but a series of miscalculations and mistakes prevented Jellicoe from intercepting the German fleet before it returned to port. 2 light cruisers were sunk by German U-boats during the operation, prompting Jellicoe to decide to not risk the major units of the fleet south of 55 degrees 30 north due to the prevalence of German submarines and mines. The Admiralty concurred and stipulated that the Grand Fleet would not sortie unless the German fleet was attempting an invasion of Britain, or there was a strong possibility it could be forced into the engagement under suitable conditions. Rear Admiral William Goldenough assumed command of the division on the 5th of December, and Captain Eric Ferdinand relieved Backhouse on the 14th. In April of 1918, the High Seas Fleet again sortied to attack British convoys to Norway. They enforced strict wireless silence during the operation, which prevented Room 40 Cornelius from warning the new commander of the Grand Fleet, Admiral Beatty. The British also learned of the operation after an incident aboard the SMS Moki, forced to break radio silence to inform the German commander of her condition. Beatty then ordered the Grand Fleet to intercept the Germans, but he was not able to reach the High Seas Fleet before it returned back for Germany. The ship was presented at Roseland, Scotland, where the High Seas Fleet surrendered there on the 21st of November, and she remained part of the 2nd Battle Squadron through the 1st of March 1919. By May, Orion had been assigned to the 3rd Battle Squadron of the Home Fleet, and was serving as the flagship for Rear Admiral Sir Douglas Nicholson, second in command of the squadron. On the 1st of November, the 3rd Battle Squadron was disbanded, and Orion was transferred to the Reserve Fleet at Portland. Together with her sisters, Nicholson still hoisted his flag aboard her, although he was now commander of the reserve fleet there. Nicholson hauled down his flag on the 1st of April, 1920, and the ship was transferred back to Portsmouth by the 14th of September. Orion then became the flagship of the reserve fleet, which was commanded by Vice Admiral Richard Phillimore. In June of 1921, she became a gunnery training ship at Portland. On the 12th of April 1922, she was paid off and replaced on the disposal list in accordance with the terms of the Washington Naval Treaty. On the 19th of December, Orion was sold for scrap to Colox and Danks, and she arrived at Oppenor in February of 1923 to begin demolition. And that brings today's video to a close. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please go hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you guys do not miss out on any future content. Leave a like on the video, share the video with your friends, and if you have any questions, concerns, or anything like that, feel free to leave those down in the comment section below. And with that being said, I thank everybody for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.